Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Today is the 2nd of February 2020, and this is episode 4. Oh, I am coming to you today with super wet hair. I just got out of the shower, but that's fine. My hair will be wet the entire time because it takes about 6 to 8 hours for it to dry fully. And I don't use a blow dryer because then it super dries out my scalp, even on cool heat, even with a diffuser. So, very interesting, right? You're here to talk about my hair. I know. So we have some fun administrative type things going on. Over on Instagram, I'm hosting a spin along, which is For the Love of Spinning SAL 2020. That's the hashtag. And that started yesterday. It goes through the end of February. There are a couple prizes donated by some very awesome friends. And one is a spindle, one is a bump of fiber. If you spin, definitely, if you feel like you want to, definitely join in, spin a little bit. But there will be some challenges that don't require you to actually spin. So those challenges will be posted on my stories every few days. I don't know. I'm not setting myself a schedule for that, but they'll be in my stories. And if you're participating, make sure to post your progress photo on your grid. Also, not in the Ravelry group, but just in my life, it's February, which means it's NaNoWriMo, which is International Correspondence Writing Month, and I definitely take part in that. So, I have a knot in my yarn. Sorry, I'm gonna look down. The challenge is to write a letter every day. And last year I managed to do it. And this year I'd like to try to do it again. The year before I was not successful. So I have a small stack of letters to write back to. And I can always, there's a blog sort of thing online that I can go and find more addresses to write random people, which is fine. But if you would like to receive a little note from me in the mail, a little happy mail, send me your address somewhere that's private. Probably don't post it openly for people to see, but yeah, so Instagram, Ravelry, go ahead and send me a message and I will get a card out to you this month, even if there are more than 29 people who want cards. I will write to everybody who responds. So the other really exciting thing this week is that I published the unicorn tube sock design. So this is the unicorn tube socks. These are for my daughter for Christmas. And they're super cute. The pattern is up on Ravelry, available for purchase. There are 4 different sizes: 52, 56, 64, and 72 stitch socks. And for each of those, there are stitch counts and charts for the eyes and lengths and things like that. There's also information on how to do an afterthought heel in that pattern. Yeah, that's what it's called, with a very brief photo tutorial. So I really like the pattern, and I think that if you're looking for something relatively easy to do but with big impact, then the unicorn tube socks are the way to go. In fact, I started another pair. I'll show those to you though in works in progress. Let's talk about what I have finished. Oh, we have a different co-host today. Can you see her? It's Surreal, the cat, and my messy table. That pink blanket is where I always sit, so right in front of it is the part of the table that I use for my own stuff. Perpetually a mess. Even when I clean it, it's just a mess. But that is me. Creative people need lots of space to be creative, I've learned. So, finished objects. I finished, da-da-da-da. Let's see, yes, just these. I have 2 pairs of socks in my beautiful sister bag to take to knitting with me so that I can weave in the ends, but the other ones I showed you last week. So I did finish the Aquaphobia socks, and they look so much better on than scrunched up like this because of the slip stitch detail. But look at how the color pooled so differently from the top to the bottom. I'm really glad that even though it will mean several more ends to weave in, that I did break the yarn in several places throughout the sock so that both socks would progress not exactly the same, but pretty similarly through the color progression. So I'm going to block these and then put them away because they are a Christmas present. So how many Christmas presents did I finish in January? 2 or 3? I don't remember. The yarn that I used on the Aquaphobia socks is Miracle Jen BFL in the Kaleidoscope colorway. She is no longer dyeing, but maybe you can find her stuff on D-Stash. Love her colorways. Love them. I also finished something that I did not have started last week, which is these little tiny baby socks. Look at how cute they are. Look at how tiny they are. I don't think my kids were ever this tiny. Maybe? Maybe they were. Oh my gosh, just look. So I didn't put any heels in because baby's feet grow so fast. So hopefully the baby will be able to wear them for a little while. My son's 2nd grade teacher is pregnant. So he's in 5th grade now, but she's pregnant, and she was pregnant when he was in class with her. So when he was with her, I made her baby booties. She didn't want a blanket, she didn't want anything big, but she asked if she could have a few pairs of baby booties. So I made her 3 pair of little purple baby booties, and now she's having another baby, and she's asked for gray baby booties. So of course I love her. So this is number 1. Technically not booties, but they are gray. They can go on the feet or on the hands, either way. And I think that will just be however she wants to use them, will be super, super cute. I also have a single sock finished. So I don't remember where this was last week. I didn't leave a marker in. I don't know. But I know I had it started. And this pattern is called Rise Over Run. It's a pattern by me, and it uses Intarsia in the round to make this background part with a slope in front of it, which is why it's called Rise Over Run, because in math that's the equation that you use to find the slope of a line. Anyway, here's the first sock. The yarn that I used is Premier Serenity Sock in black, and these rainbow yarns are from ZK Mini Skeins. So ZK Minis. Much loved. This is what, the 4th pair of socks that I've knit with these yarns, I think. Pretty sure I don't have enough of them to make the 5th, or make a 5th pair of socks, not with the entire rainbow, but maybe with all of the rainbow except yellow. We'll see how I feel about rainbow socks after this pair. I'm always gonna love rainbow socks, whatever. So this is the first sock, and I have started the second sock. And it is almost, losing a needle, almost through the pink, except I made a mistake last night. So I have to tink back around and fix it. I don't know what I was thinking I was doing, but it was totally the wrong thing. And then when I got back to that same spot, I was like, why would I do that? Anyway, it's my own pattern. You'd think I would know it, but apparently for that minute I didn't. So on this sock, the slant goes in the opposite direction. You can kind of see that happening a little tiny bit, maybe. I can tell what's happening. Next week it will be super visible because I should be through the leg or close to through the leg by next week. This pattern knits up super, super fast, even though it's intarsia in the round, because most of it is knit garter stitch, which means all of these purl stitches are actually knit stitches that you just knit going in the opposite direction. So it's a lot of fun. I also worked on my spinning project for Karen because it's February. I did work on it a little bit before yesterday, but I put about 5 grams on my spindle, so that's pretty exciting. I think that instead of saying I want to spin for so many minutes a day, I think I want to spin at least 2 grams on that project a day, because that will get me to almost 60 grams spun if I only do 2 grams a day by the end of the month. I don't actually know how much the fiber weighs. I haven't weighed it, but I think 2 grams is a good starting goal. And of course, if I do more than 2 grams a day, that's perfectly acceptable. I have also picked up the Baby's Diamond Legs socks that I am knitting. It's a pattern by Lisa K. Ross, and this is where I was last week. Not last week. Last time you saw it, which was like 3 weeks ago. But then I put it away because it wasn't a sock, and the ZK bonus challenge for January was socks. So I put this away, and then yesterday I picked it back up because the challenge is no longer socks. I will talk about the challenge in a few projects. So this is my progress. It's a pretty easy to memorize pattern. I'm not doing the decreases as the pattern says because I'm not making them for babies. I think that I might also be using a different yarn weight. I don't remember. But I'm using the chart and the idea of the pattern to make these. These will be for one of Patrick's nieces. So the yarn that I'm using for that is Knit Picks Stroll Glimmer. You can't see that at all. There we go. Stroll Glimmer in blush. I'm housing this. I'm using all of my bags right now because it's the beginning of the month. Not literally all of my bags. I do have a few more bags than this, but I'm using a lot of bags right now. This was made for me by a viewer of the podcast, and I love it. It's got little fish on it, like bunny fish, and it's got the satiny inside, so I can use it for a spinning bag should I choose to, which I have before, and it works really, really well for that. I have been knitting on, while I was talking to you, my yarn that got a little tangled, a pair of socks for one of the boys, one of my nephews, or for Patrick. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to make the socks in Patrick's size and then distribute them to the boys because their feet are probably around that size. Last year I made them in my shoe size, which is just slightly smaller than Patrick's shoe size. So this is very unimpressive, but it will be Tootsie Roll Socks by Lisa K. Ross. I know I'm knitting a lot of her patterns. Get bonuses for knitting with the designer's patterns for the ZK Knit Along, and there are only 6 of us. So I'm using Cascade Yarns Heritage Prints. This is the skein that Kalisha sent me for Christmas. So I will be working with this. The idea of the Tootsie Roll socks is that you can either use a non-self-striping yarn for the pattern, or it's got a self-striping option where you alternate knit stripes and purl stripes. I will not be actually purling though. I will be wrapping a stitch and working the opposite direction so that I don't actually have to purl. It will all be stockinette. And I will probably throw in a Fish Lips Kiss heel that's just garter stitch, just for fun, because texture is fun. And my Tock socks are similar in idea to this pattern, and they have a garter stitch heel, and I really like that. And that is in this cute mermaid bag from Hooked by Happenstance. And it has this really bright pink inside, and I'm not usually a pink person, but this pink with this blue and the matching zipper, just, I love it. I love it. I've also cast on another pair of unicorn tube socks, except these will be a little bit different. These are going to be cats, which means that I will be not doing a horn. The ears are slightly bigger, so I'm making the size medium in the pattern, which is 64 stitches theoretically. I think so. So I'm following my pattern, but not really. I'm doing 60 stitches. And I did the ear pattern for the 72 stitch size, but I added 2 extra rows to make them a little bit longer. So those are the ears. And I am using the ears and the eye detail will be, I might do the eyes in black. I haven't decided yet, but the ears are out of a mini skein that Shayna sent me when she sent me all of those minis for Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted in December. I've just barely started the cuff. I'm doing it on double points for now. I might do the whole thing on double points, or I might pick up another circular, 9-inch circular at the yarn shop on Wednesday, or I might put this aside until I finish this, which has a 9-inch circular. I haven't decided. I started, so everything that I'm showing you that's a new cast on, I started yesterday. So now that everything started, I can like set it aside and just work on a couple projects at a time. Pretty much every month I start a bunch of projects on the first day, and then I pick them up here and there, work on them a little bit. I don't generally work on everything every day, but yesterday was a day that I didn't have to work, and I basically just cleaned and sat on my couch and knit when I wasn't cleaning. So the yarn that I'm using, I don't know if I've said this, for the cuff is Premier Serenity Sock in purple. The same purple that I used for the unicorn tube socks for my daughter. And then for the body, I'm going to use Mother's Skate of Mani Petty, and this is in the boot colorway. Boot. Yeah, just one boot. For myself, I started and being housed in, let's talk about bags. This is being housed in my Stitch by Jessalou Starry Night bag, the unicorn tube sock. And then this is a Silver Shed USA bag from ZK, the one where you got all the minis. You see how that kind of matches up. So I am making myself a pair of knotty gloves, and I started them magic loop on a 40-something inch cable. Not my favorite way of knitting, but I wanted to get them started. So they are very barely started. I'm going to have a cuff that's about this long before I go into a beautiful cable pattern on the front of the gloves for my hands. And this yarn is so beautiful. It is Marigold Jen in copper patina on a sparkly base. I don't know if you can see the sparkles. I know they're there, and I'm super excited to have these understated-ish colored gloves, but with sparkle. My last 2 works in progress are temporarily being housed in the same bag. This is a Girl Cave Bags bag, And I'm using a surprisingly few amount of stitch markers this month. Last month, all of these were used. They were all on projects. So surprisingly few this month. So yes, 2 projects in this bag, mostly because yesterday I was too lazy to go and get another project bag to split things into. So first up, this is going to be the Turn a Square hat by Jared Flood using Lunabud Knits in the TARDIS colorway. This is I think it's either a sport or a DK weight yarn. The pattern calls for worsted weight. It'll be good enough. I think it's DK. So that's just the very beginning. The pattern calls for a tubular cast on. I couldn't be bothered. It says it's also fine to not do a tubular cast on and just to do 2x2 ribbing. So that's what I opted for because I didn't want to do that. I'm using a US size 5 needle, which is a 3.75. Yes, 3.75 needle to make this hat. I'm doing it magic loop. It's not my favorite way to make things anymore. I used to do magic loop all the time. A very long time ago, everything was magic loop. But now if I can get the circulars in the proper circumference, I would rather do that, a 16-inch circular. I don't know if I'm going to pick one up though for just one hat. I don't make a lot of hats on size 5 needles. So I'll probably just continue working on these needles. And the other thing that I have started out of Ba Yarns Sonoma, which is a DK weight in the Baba Black Sheep colorway, is a shawl designed by me. It's an old pattern, not super old, but not new. I guess kind of super old. It is the pattern called A Cog in the Machine, which I originally designed with Miracle Jen's yarn, and now I want a DK weight version. So I've just barely started it, just a few rows. I'm working it on size 7 needles. The pattern is worked on fingering weight, and I think it calls for size 5 needles, but I like the fabric. I like the fabric that the size 7s are giving me, and I like the idea of a DK weight shawl. Who am I? A shawl person. Weird. I'm going to need more than one skein of yarn to do this shawl. The original pattern uses most of one skein for the main body and then about half of another skein for the edging. So I'm going to need at least 2 skeins of DK weight yarn, but I don't actually know how fingering weight shawl patterns translate into DK weight yarn. So I'm just going to buy the yarn as I need it and figure it out from there. So let's finish up with what I am reading. I have been reading Throne of Glass, which I am enjoying much more now that I'm more than, what was it last week, 20 pages or something in, or 100 or wherever I was. I'm almost finished with it. I have something like 60 pages to go. So maybe I'll finish this today. I'm going to finish this book today. I've decided it's on my list. I will finish this book today because I really, really need to be finishing other books. And the library is doing its blind date with a book thing. And we were there on Friday and I picked up a book, even though I have no business checking out any more books from the library right now because I have so many still on my shelf to read. But I picked one up anyway. So I need to finish this book. And then I need to finish one of my nonfiction books, and then I can read my blind date book. That's what I've decided. So this needs to be finished today. I've also been listening to The Wicked King by Holly Black in my car. I'm going to finish this today. I have to go teach a class, and it's about a half hour there, half hour back. I think I'm on the last disc, maybe? No, I'm on the second to last disc. I might finish this tomorrow. but I'm really, really enjoying it, and I do have the third book in the trilogy on CD, so I don't know if I want to start that or if I want to space it out by listening to that George R.R. Martin collection that I have. Hi, what are you doing?
Hey Mother, I'm going to make a fairy tale because, well.
Oh, well, I'm still recording and you're making an awful lot of noise.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
getting my stuff ready.
Sounds awesome. So Mara's home this weekend. She'll be home next weekend, but surprisingly, she didn't make any noise during the first part of the podcast, just this very end. I'm about to say goodbye. You want to come say bye?
Yep. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and comment on every single video that Mom does. Alright, goodbye.
Bye.